this idea of the so-called bro vote, right? And by that, I mean the young men who the Trump campaign for months had talked about targeting. Now, remember, young men, they don't vote a ton. They're not showing up every 4 years to get out there and cast their ballot. But the Trump campaign ID'd them as somebody who could, as this demographic group who they could try to turn out. And if they could get those young men who are more predisposed to back Donald Trump to the polls, then maybe that would be the key. That's the bet that they made, and that bet has paid off because those young men showed up in a big way. And think about what he did in his campaign. He was on Joe Rogan. He had Elon Musk out for him. He was doing all these sort of young men podcasts. Yes, spurred on by his son, Barron Trump, to some degree. So that was one of the dynamics on the gender gap there.
My dad is poor. That's not a read. It's a fact. And I called him yesterday to ask if he was voting for Kamala Harris. He said, no, I'm probably not voting at all. And I said, well, why not? His response, he said when he go to the grocery store and spend $60, he don't have 2 bags. And that's a problem for him. Whereas 4 years ago, that was a different story. But you have to remember that 4 years ago, we were in a global pandemic, so the whole thing is a different story. I knew I was not going to be the one to persuade him to our side, but there was a call going on with Win for Black Men hosted by Roland Martin. Thousands of black men all across the country gathered on Zoom to talk about what they're going to do to support Kamala Harris. And of course, to raise money for the cause because they do need them donations. So I sent him the link and I said, why don't you just spend 10 minutes on the call, call me back, let me know what's going on. He didn't call me back last night because he stayed on the call for more than 3 hours. And he got inspired and energized by all of the black men around this country who are not just in support of Kamala Harris because she's a black woman, but who are in support of change. So last night at 11:03, I got this text. It is important to talk to your friends, neighbors, and followers about the causes that you care about. This is a historic election. And I'm not going to lie, I've listened to several Trump speeches. He knows what words to say. But never forget January 6th. What they do to get you is not what they going to do when they got you, okay?
What are the black jobs?
They're taking black jobs now.
What are the black jobs that he thinks immigrants who have come into this country who are undocumented are taking? What are the black jobs? He used his answer on the debate stage to try to pit black people against Hispanic people in this country because he thinks it will benefit him at the ballot box in November. How little does Donald Trump think of black people and black voters and Hispanic people and the Hispanic voters in this country? How little does he think of us? Does Donald Trump think we are stupid? Many questions, very few answers. But I can tell you this. What Donald Trump has been doing to speak to black, Latino, and Hispanic voters in this country, that is not outreach. It's just more insults.
So yesterday, Bernie Sanders held a rally, a May Day rally in Philadelphia. It was a rally for workers, migrant workers, for immigrants, basically anybody who was against the administration and Trump, right? Amongst the thousands of people that were there in protest, thousands of white people, by the way. Thousands of white people, by the way, right? There were about 70 people arrested. Guess what? Majority of those people that were arrested were the few black people who were out there. Although I have personally stressed time and time again, please do not go out into the roads, don't go in the streets, do not protest, because I have a feeling you will be sought after. Although I have preached this multiple times on my platform, there's still some of us who feel passionately enough and want to go out there. And so they did. And because of that, they were arrested.
And a lot going on behind you.
Yeah, a lot going on, Fred, right now. Things kind of took a little bit of a turn.
This was a coincidence?
Some of the protesters got a warning twice
Who
to
you
vacate
see
so they can
is
open
being
up
walked
Broad
through
and Vine. And you
in
can see
zip
some are now
ties.
being put in zip ties and being led away over to a bus that's over there.
Here's another arrest.
What's going on right now?
That's not the same lady.
Do you have anything to say? No?
Solidarity.
Is it worth it to make a stand like this?
Solidarity forever.
The reporter asked her, was it worth making a stance like this? And her response was solidarity forever. Where are the white allies? Where are they? Why weren't they shielding her? Why did y'all let her get them? Not even just her. Why did y'all let them get arrested so easily? Why wasn't any commotion being made? Where's the solidarity? Where is it? And this is why I don't want any of my people, I don't want anybody who is of color going out there. I don't want you out there. I don't want you out there because We will say solidarity. We will ask for peace. We will ask for union. But then when we expect for it to be returned, crickets. Fucking crickets. And don't tell me, oh, why you gotta make everything about race? That crowd was filled with thousands of white people. Thousands of white people, yet they managed to find 2 black women to put in zip ties and to parade in front of the reporters and the cameras. Stop playing in my face.
Why aren't black people protesting? Where were black people during the hands-off demonstration? I am so glad you asked. 3 quick points. 1, white people have a bad habit of only recognizing black people's work when that work happens in white people's spaces and with white people's approval. Take as much time as you need to process that. But we've been working. We've been building. We've been protesting. Many of you all just aren't paying attention until you realize that our bodies aren't on the front lines of your protests. Black organizers pulled together a 24-hour counter program to Trump's State of the Union, reaching more than 1 million collective streaming viewers. Black communities are leading a very successful boycott against Target stores across the country for changing their public stance on DEI. And at least one black community has taken up arms to protect their kids against the pro-Trump white nationalist groups trying to intimidate them. Black folks aren't missing. Black folks are working. Point 2, protests in the streets have their time and their place. But if we learned anything from 2020, it's that what we need right now is real political power, like knocking doors and organizing black voters in Louisiana to defeat a constitutional amendment. An amendment, mind you, that would have made it easier to send minors to adult jails and prisons for longer sentences. And that effort was led, you guessed it, by black people.
Early voting was powered by black voters. They turned out in huge numbers. The folks who made that happen join us right now.
Point number 3. It's clear that black people aren't taking a break from the work. The evidence is everywhere, if you're looking for it. But have you considered that black people might be taking a break from doing our work on your terms?
So in the 3 months that this man has been president, for the most part, the black community has been home, enjoying their families, taking care of themselves and their mental health. You've seen us online talking about different ways that we'll spend our money, boycotting certain businesses and institutions economically. We've maintained time and time again that we will not be taking to the streets and demonstrating the same way we demonstrated 5 years ago. And we've been adamant about the fact that the second we step out there, this administration is going to do something, or the people that support this administration are going to do something. We saw that happen firsthand in Philadelphia, where black protesters were arrested, out of nowhere. But what have we also been saying? What have I also been saying when I make these videos? There is a need to provoke the black community right now. There is a need to get us pissed off, get us violent, and justify the fact that this president wants to use military force against black people. And not only that, he wants to do it in a way that feels justified. Get us angry, get us violent, get us destroying things. He can use the military against us and tell the rest of America that it is because we are so aggressive. And we haven't taken the bait. We've done a very good job of not taking the bait. But even still, this man gets in front of a camera, gets behind a microphone, and he says, we need police, we need military, we need law enforcement more in black communities. No mention of the neo-Yazis. Remember the neo-Yazis in Ohio who specifically went to terrorize a black community? No mention of that. It is getting really close to crunch time for the orange man and his regime, all right? They are struggling to keep the favor of the people. Now, we know the loud supporters are still out here talking about everything is great, they don't see anything wrong, and they're getting everything that they're voting for. But for the most part, America is not happy with this president. If they cannot change the subject, if they cannot change the narrative, if they cannot provoke our community so that they can establish a visual on who they want the bad guy to be, everybody's gonna see that this thing is not gonna last. And that's why I keep making videos like this, and that's why I keep saying the things that I'm saying. Pay attention to what they are trying to do. It is absolutely a struggle to stay popular when all of your policies are directly hurting your own voters. But if he can get that black community front and center and make us look like the bad guys, he'll be able to continue operating with full impunity. But without that, his days are numbered. I guarantee it.
Who will you be voting for in 2024, Daryl?
Do I have to say his name? I don't want to, but more than likely it's going to be Trump.
Yeah, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Who are you going to be voting for?
Biden.
And then Victor?
I'm with her.
Oh, Biden, okay.
Trump.
Eric, Trump?
Biden.
Biden?
Trump.
Okay, we're an even split, which I didn't see that coming. So do you think there's going to be a big shift, any sort of change?
I think it's going to be a big shift.
Me too.
Big shift?
Yes. Big
really? Okay.
For me, I've always been a Democrat, and it's like for the most part with the Democratic Party, they always make a bunch of promises that they can't deliver.
You know, they use the issues of the African American community as a soapbox to stand on and make promises, you know, just to get us to come out and vote. And then once we vote and everyone's in place, it's like, well, what happened?
Would you say it's anything like somebody's in your DM and they're really laying it down, I'm gonna take you over here, girl, I'll take you to the top. You know what I mean? And then you finally go on the date and it's Burger King.
Or you get catfished.
Or you get, there you go.